I heard they put the shape on your glasses and it's not problem. I said you have to bring back the morning.
Good morning, everyone. It is 9:30. It's time for us to start. So if you are socializing, just feel free to make your way back to your socially distanced seat. This is unusual, isn't it? This is a unique time, a unique season. Hopefully it's just a short season, but we know that even when we go back to whatever normal looks like, it probably, some of the things that we're learning now will probably stay around, I would just imagine. So thank you for observing those social distancing rules and things. That's always very important because we need to take care of each other. And that's one way that we can do that. So I have removed my mask temporarily so that I can speak into the microphone, and I'm very socially distanced from the nearest person. So when they have that opportunity, I think that's fine too. I've found in the meetings recently that sometimes it's difficult to understand people, and obviously that will be that way with kids and things. So we're just going to have to figure this thing out together and take care of each other in that way. First thing I wanted to do is do some introductions. Let me get this in. We have some new people joining us. We also have some reassignments and some slight changes. So I wanted to just kind of go over those before we get into the slides. At our last voluntary meeting, we introduced Ray Price. I don't think Ray is in here, but Ray is our new custodian. And he has been working diligently on getting those floors all waxed and shiny. I think they look phenomenal. And so if you have not met Ray, please do that. He has a lot of energy. He's super positive, and I'm glad we were able to get him on board. We have a new first grade teacher, Wendy Killow. Where's Wendy? Can you stand up, Wendy? Oh, she's locked into her. She's in the balcony. There's Wendy. Welcome to Wendy. She's going to be in the first grade team. Allie Hill is going to be on the second grade team, but she could not be here today. And then also on second grade, we have Aubrey Stanley. There she is. She's back here. She just waved to us. It's hard to see. I mean, I've met all these people, but now with masks on, I'm doubting myself sometimes. I'm like, is that really who that is? But thank you. And then in fifth grade, language arts and will be our gifted coordinator is Lauren Branscombe. She's here on the front row. Lauren, I've hired now twice. She's awesome. The 6th grade English language arts is Charlie Burns. He's here in the middle. There's Charlie. And in 7th grade ELA, Nicole Reen. I was thinking you were there, but you didn't move. I just moved around. And then in 6th grade, we have Chelsea Mosley. Some of you may remember her. She has roots back to Oakdale. And then speech pathologist, we have Shelley Ryland. I don't know that Shelley is here. She's contracted hourly, so she's not truly one of our payroll employees, although we pay her for her services, so she wouldn't have to be here today. And then in the front office, we have a replacement for Julie Thompson as Jeannie Moss. So you'll probably see Jeannie around also. We have some changes in positions. Kelly Smith will be full-time art. And Bree Camp. Bree was a TA last year. She will continue in that role, but she's also going to pick up a couple hours of art. She has an art minor, I believe, and getting certified in art. So she gets to do what she enjoys doing and get paid for it. That's awesome. Katie Haruff will be afternoon leadership and yearbook going full time. She's way up at the balcony. Robbie Wheeler and Wendy Pollard. Oh, I saw Robbie. There's Robbie over there. And Wendy Pollard are, the two of them together are going to equal one full-time equivalent substitute. And there'll be more information about that, but so we thank her for taking us on that offer. Palmer Renshaw will be our special ed director. So she will be working on a lot of things, a lot of changes this year with special ed. She's over here. Just a lot of unknowns and moving pieces with special ed on top of all the COVID things. And then Michelle Fetters in our office will be the operations secretary for Mike. She'll still do some of the same duties, but she'll be, has a little office back there now. And so she'll be helping Mike with a lot of the operations things, ordering and all the athletic stuff as well. She will not be covering classes. Changes in locations, not necessarily employment, but locations. Jill Wilcoy, our middle school principal, is going to office in the old yearbook classroom in the middle school pod. So she'll be in the smack dab middle between 5th grade and the middle school pod. So she's there in a heartbeat of everything. Jenna Foster is still in the same area, but she's in Paula's old office. She just moved over one door, frees up that larger space for meetings and conferences and things like that, for teams and things to meet. Phyllis, back in our office, is where Marlene's old office was. And then, there's kind of a little domino effect here. So, Michelle is in Phyllis's old office, and then Marlene is in Jill's old office. And Gina is now in the old OT-PT room, which is right there by the middle school library. Also be easy for elementary to access and middle school to access the counselor. And we thought it was also a very good idea that if a student wants to see a counselor, they don't have to go to the office to see a person. So this puts her kind of in a neutral area there for kids that are, that might want to see her. And it was a good as well for several other reasons. So that means our OT and PT, Julie McMiller and Deneen Knapp are going to be in Shelley Trulock's old classroom. So OT and PT will be down there. And Shelley, too many rhyming names. Shelley is moved next door to the kitchen room in the kindergarten pod. And then Julie Harger, our school nurse, is not going to be in the front office. She is relocated to the new wing down there by 5th grade because we have extra space there. We can also house students if they're sick that would then not commingle with other students that might just be coming in. So there's some changes, and a map will be coming. I think we were working on a map. So just some domino effect, and I think in general it's a very positive transition. So those are the changes and some new folks. So we welcome all of our new folks to the family. I still feel new. I was telling a friend the other day, there's I said, yeah, I work 10 days before we close school down the rest of the year. And so I feel like a little bit more of an advantage than my replacement at my last job, who has not met anyone until this week and has not seen anything that they do, like how they drop off kids and all those things. That at least I got to see some of those things. So I feel like I have an advantage for some of that already, but it's good to be back. It's very good to be back. It was harder to get up this morning a little bit, probably maybe for you too. I didn't get the patio coffee quiet time as much as I wanted to. First time I've worn a suit and a starched shirt in about 6 or 7 months, probably. For those of you that have been popped in, I usually see me in shorts and Birkenstocks, so that may come back really fast. So I'll just dive right in here quickly. I have some slides we're going to kind of go through, and I'm just going to stand here and narrate some of those things so we stay on track. So Andy, if you'll hit the next slide, please. Oh, I can do that. Awesome. Okay, we can move ahead. Okay. I started working on a slideshow hoping that I would be able to come to your classrooms last spring and introduce myself to your kids. And I thought, I'll show pictures of my family. I'll show pictures of my wife and things that we like to do. Well, that never happened. So I resurrected the slideshow and abbreviated it just so that I could introduce myself to you again, letting you know that just so you can kind of see the family. Obviously, OSU is a big part of our life, and we were able to get up into the mountains this summer for a little bit. My daughter Clara, my son Harrison, and then this other picture on the right was last Christmas. Between Christmas and New Year's, we went to New York City, and we were able to spend some time there. So we enjoy traveling. We like to go to places where we learn things, kind of historical type of things. And going to the mountains was very refreshing last month. It was very, very good. Talking about family and so forth, here's some other just random pictures of homecoming at OSU. I guess it's the not having the world's greatest homecoming this fall. Everyone say, "Oh." Thank you for playing along. Thunder games, like New York City again, an OSU football game. My wife teaches and works down at John Rex. She's a reading interventionist and a school nurse. And Clara is a freshman at Edmond Memorial. And my son is beginning his second year teaching at Crossings Christian School. He teaches middle school Bible and coaches basketball. Shameless pictures of my kids. You have a handout that looks like this. I want you to just now dive into some meat of some things going on. You may have seen that our Board of Education has had some summer work sessions, some special meetings. The reason we haven't had a special meeting is because if we have 2 people on the board that talk to each other, that's a quorum. So we have to have these extra special meetings in order for them to be able to have these open conversations. So we have these summer scheduled meetings. Some will go into the fall, because we realized early on, and in my work with them, that there's some master planning that needs to be taken care of as we move forward with Oakdale into the next decade. So Mr. Corbin kind of worked on some of this with me, and we just kind of needed a framework for how we want to begin working toward a master plan and strategies for the district. We're still here along the bottom. These are the pillars that are holding things up. The very first one is that COVID-19 plan. Man, we're still working on it. It's a moving target that's took a lot of energy, and I know for you as well, it's a lot of brain cells and brain power. The salary schedule, how many noticed that you got a raise? Thank you to the Board of Education for that. That was one of the things that I took to them early on and said, guys, we've got to be competitive. And so not only are we competitive, but we're I don't know if you've looked at it, and I don't want to always compare ourselves to Edmond, but after some of the things that happened the last couple of weeks, I am not too opposed to having just a little bark. So our salary schedule exceeds Edmond's at this point in time. So if you want to have bragging rights or telling me, hey, come over there, we pay more. No, that's not the only reason, but it's kind of fun sometimes to be able to say some of those things as well. We're talking about future, what does a bond issue look like? We know we have some things we need to do, but we don't have one scheduled yet, but we need to start thinking early on about when we might even propose one in order to get it to the right authorities so that we can even conduct it. We need to talk with our finance people, our bond issue guy, and those things. All these other pillars are going to come later. Our short-term goals are over here, and then a facility review. We're going to work with our architects to just take a look at immediate needs in our facility, particularly 2 things that you'll probably hear coming up. One thing that I learned early on was after the new wing was added, where 5th grade is, we cannot do any other construction or other projects until we finish the road all the way around. So that is one of our very first projects, is to figure out what to do to connect that road back. So that's there. And the other one, just totally lost. Oh, as part of the road feature, there are different fire risers that, to connect with different fire connections. We need to have a place where we have a hub where they kind of connect all together into one full system. So those two particular things, building a road and fire systems and pipes and things like that, those aren't necessarily glamorous to do, but they must be done. So that's in the immediate future. Now, along with those ideas, for those required things, we have other things that we can do. We're looking at maybe some furniture, fixture, and equipment, some technology, some other things that we can add on to that. And the big hill over here, if we have to connect a road from over here to around, that's a lot of dirt to be moved, right? What a good place to fill in that low playground. Maybe just redo that playground. And so those are some ideas that and many others, but I just want to give you a taste of some things that we're kind of thinking of during those work sessions that we know in order to probably, for the community to support that bond issue, it's probably going to be more than just, hey, we're going to build a road and we need your help. And the other thing also is that our students and our families that support the school and those bond issues, they need to see something tangible, something that directly affects kids. And so we're talking about those things, maybe enhanced security system, a card swipe system instead of keys. Those types of things could be put on. And in addition to that, we would include probably in the next issue something about a complete master plan to have someone come in and do not just facilities, but really look at demographics and movement in neighborhoods and growth and historical data and put that together into a larger master plan for a longer term. So, and that's costly as well. So if that can be included in this first bond issue, then we could look at something in the future to get that enabled. So we have a long-term view of this. So right now we're just working on the near term. Above that, you can see we have some goals, leadership things, input from you, from our staff, from parents, our community, as well as they've tied my evaluation there, some of the objectives they have for me and what my role is, and then as well as looking at our subject matter experts on how learning needs to look in the next decade. What does a school look like in 2030? And we didn't know last year it was going to look like this today. So in 10 years, it's hard to, so we need to start putting our eye on those things, as well as some of these other things ultimately leading to a full picture for the district. So I'm very pleased with the board's direction and the fact that they have their eyes set on the long term and not just what needs to happen just next. They have their eyes are set on both of those goals. This is in your packet. It's just the org chart, just so we have a number of new people. And so this just kind of is a quick view of kind of the organizational chart and how things are reported. Names are not on there. Obviously, it's a very rough sketch, but you get the idea of how those things roll down. One of the other documents in your packet does not look like this. This picture is a superhighway, a lot of lanes. And the way I look at our organizational chart and kind of the way things usually work in schools and districts, I think of it, the analogy is like a superhighway. There are many, many lanes. Each of us has a role and a lane in which we usually drive. Sometimes we switch lanes, and that's why we have teamwork, and why we have work in teams and collaborate. But overall, we have this big highway with multiple lanes going different directions. Now, if you think back to the last flow chart, the Board of Education and the superintendent, we pretty much drive in probably all the lanes. We try to signal before we switch lanes. Sometimes we goof, and we have to go back and make amends for that. But anyway, different people have different lanes. It does not mean that you can't drive in all those lanes, but sometimes, especially with topics come up, you think, now who do I go to for flex benefits? Well, whose lane is that? It's kind of my nickname for that. So you have a document with you that is just looks like a table. It's after the org chart. It looks, it's landscape view. And this is just the bullet points for the people in the central office and admin team and some of our support folks. So you know who to quickly go to if you have a question about attendance, or if you have a question about grades or personnel record, or want to know about buses or whatever. So you can look at that and you can kind of see how that works. One of the reasons why this was originally developed was as I was hired and we hired Mike as the director of operations, some of those roles kind of shifted. So this was helpful to kind of know where Mike's lane was, where my lane is, and where the principal's lanes are, as well as the people that support us as well. So I hope that that's a helpful tool. Probably nothing on there that's probably too surprising. It's very similar to what's been in the past, but I wanted you to have a visual for that. And there it is. One of the things I wanted to touch on, and this is, I made some slides. One of my very, very favorite quotes is, "Excellence is never an accident." And I used to have this on my wall in my office at Westfield Elementary when we opened that school, and I've kind of kept it with me since then, in my mind anyway, in my heart, because, and this little document kind of goes along with it. It has, I did not write this, I don't know the author, but so I can't give credit to them, and I won't take credit for it, but I want to review some of the things and think about this, because I think it's pertinent as we start the school year here at Oakdale, because you are known for excellence. Oakdale has a strong reputation for academic excellence and for community and for kindness and for achieving all those things, and those were not accidental. They're not. Just look around the room and you can see the reason why that those things are the way they are is because the people that are elbow partners in front of you and behind you. Excellence is achieved only as a result of an unrelenting and vigorous insistence on the highest standards of performance. It requires an unswerving expectancy of quality from everyone. It's contagious. It affects and affects everyone. It charts the direction of a program and establishes the criteria for planning. It provides zest and vitality. And once it's achieved, and this is where I really start thinking about Oakdale, its historical achievement, excellence then has a talent for permeating every aspect of life. And I think we see that when we talk to parents, and you are out around, you talk to community members, they know, and it's well known about the excellence we have at this district. Excellence demands commitment and tenacious dedication, and once it is accepted and expected, it must be nourished and continually reviewed and renewed. That is an important statement for me, because I think also I had a friend tell me once, if things that are green are growing, and if they're not growing, they're dead. And so I kind of stuck that back in my memory too. It's like, okay, that's kind of the philosophy I kind of like that. As fact is, I want to always grow and look for improvement. Things could be great, but how can we improve? How things change around us, circumstances change. It's much like a global pandemic, racial unrest, an election coming. All those things combining make it so that we have to be nimble and flexible and continually review and renew what we do. That also rejuvenates us and helps us as a team and as a community also to grow and to be better. It's a never-ending process of learning and growing. It requires a spirit of motivation and boundless energy, and it always is the result of I love this phrase, creatively conceived and precisely planned effort. So you can have a great idea and be very creative and you'd be so excited about it, but without the precision of planning and those things, it may not get pulled off. There's like a gnat or something. I don't know. Excellence inspires, it electrifies, it potentializes every phase of life, and it unleashes an impact which influences every program, every activity, and every person. To instill it is difficult. If you were to walk into a school that just went, mediocre is good. Yeah, kind of like horseshoes, close enough. But that's not Oakdale, is it? No. So if you walked into a situation where it's not present, it's difficult to instill it. But to sustain it, it's even more so. It demands imagination and vigor, but most of all, it requires a constant state of self-discovery and discipline. Excellence is the most compelling answer to apathy and inertia. It energizes a stimulating and pulsating force, and once it becomes the expected standard of performance, it develops a fiercely driving and motivating philosophy of operation. Excellence is a state of mind put into action. It's a roadmap to success, and when a climate of excellence exists, all things come easier. So I'll leave those thoughts with you as you think about your year, and when I think about our community, our staff, our faculty, that when I look around, I wish you could stand up here and see around. It's awesome, because when I look around, I see the excellence, I see the commitment, I see the imagination, the creativity, the precision of planning, and those things that make Oakdale what it is. I also wanted to say a couple words. This is a little picture that was taken last month when we went to Colorado. Whitewater rafting, that was a new experience for us. And when they sit you down, has anyone ever done whitewater rafting? Yeah, a lot of you have. So you know when you get your vest and you're sitting around, one of the first things they do is tell you all the possible things that could go wrong. They make it real serious, and everyone's eyes got real big, and even my kids were looking at me like, do we really want to do this, Dad? But we did it, and the water was calm in places. It churned in other places. There were boulders, there were rocks, there were boats that were flipped, not ours. We got to go over and rescue and add 5 more people to our little raft because their boat flipped. Like, okay, we're gonna have to go into some of those training things they teach you back when you first get your vest. We had to do some of those things, but we all survived, and I think we were the better for it. I'm gonna show you one of the most embarrassing pictures I've ever taken. We were wet, we were hot, we stunk. We had these ugly booties on that held water that was supposed to keep our feet dry. We're wearing masks, but we're together. We're together. So as we go into thinking about Oakdale, we're together. We're going to have some rough rides. I don't know what's down the course. I can't predict that. But I do know that when we are together and we're creatively conceiving things, precisely planning things, and we're in it together, that we survive. We might come out looking as ugly as that picture is, but we're still smiling, and we're hugging, and we're there together. So that's the end of the road. Whatever that is, I don't know yet. I found this quote that I wanted to kind of take a moment for you to ponder. Teaching is far from perfect. It's messy. And in that mess is where you'll find the craft of your teaching, and you truly enjoy the journey. You might be walking in today and thinking, I don't know about getting on this boat. I don't know what it holds. I don't know the destination. I don't know what bumps are in the way. I don't know what boulders, or if the boat is going to flip. I don't know, but it could be messy. But let's enjoy the journey. And then Andy, I think there is coming up next, possibly, is a link to a video that I want to share with you as well.
This one?
Okay, let's take a minute and here, watch this.
Oh, hang on.
It's been said that in a completely rational society, the best of us would be teachers, and the rest of us would have to settle for something less, because passing civilization along from one generation to the next ought to be the highest honor and the highest responsibility any one of us can have. I speak in school communities all over the country, and many times people will ask, who's the most important group you speak to? Is it high school students, elementary students, middle school students? And all of those students are important, but you can make a very strong argument that the most important group that I speak to isn't students at all. It's teachers. I've met in my time thousands of teachers, classroom teachers, counselors, office administrators, bio teachers, librarians, anybody who works in a school that has an ability to impact kids, in my mind, is a teacher. And what I've learned is that you didn't get there by accident. That you felt the special tug on your heart, and that tug said to you at some point, you are uniquely designed to impact, influence, and inspire a young person's heart, soul, and mind, and you said yes to that call. So often teachers get bogged down in the day-to-day, and what they got into the work for ends up not being the work that they actually do, and they get burnt and they get drained and they're ready to quit. I've seen teachers as early as 6 months ready to throw in the white flag and say it's all over. They don't feel like their work matters, but it does, and I can say it firsthand. Our family actually got an email from a school nurse and teacher in her own right about 3 years ago, and the email read something along the lines of, I don't know how to quite say this, but your daughter, who was in 3rd grade at the time, is coming in and seeing me quite a bit, and there's some very strong red flags that I have as a nurse that she's struggling with some sort of anxiety or maybe even childhood depression. The nurse was absolutely right. And the last 3 years, my wife and I and my daughter have been in and out of counseling, therapy, and psychiatrist questioning, medicine in 4th grade. Sophia missed 25 days of school because of this stuff. There were days where she couldn't even get out of bed. And I actually don't share that to make you sad or make you depressed, because the truth is so many of you have had harder stories or more difficult things in your life than that. I share that with you because you need to understand that only 1 year later, 5th grade, Sophia missed 0 days of school. And it wasn't because of the doctor, and it wasn't because of myself or medication, it was because of her 5th grade teacher, Miss Patty. Miss Patty single-handedly changed the game for Sophia and our entire family. What I need you to hear is that you are the Miss Patties for so many of the students that walk into your classroom. And sometimes you know the ones you're impacting, and sometimes you don't. But as a parent, as somebody who just deeply cares about young people, I need you to remind yourself that the work you do matters. The ripple effect that you have in the lives of these kiddos goes further than your eyes will ever see. So, if nothing else, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for stepping up and saying yes to that tug that you got in your heart so many years ago. Thank you for saying yes to the highest honor and the highest responsibility any one of us could have. Thank you for passing civilization forward. You have the most important job on this planet, and we need you today more than ever.
My allergies kicked in during that. My eyes started watering a little bit. I'm in tears or anything. No, this is powerful. So I couldn't have said that any better when I saw that. I thought that's the message. You guys have a calling. You guys have a passion, and it's not by accident. So, who wants to be a Miss Patty this year? Yeah, I see. Yeah, everyone in here. We're all Miss Patties or Mr. Patrick's. But anyway, okay, I will pause there because I can't add anything more to that than what he already said. But thank you for being here today. If you need anything, you know where I am, holler at me, and I'll be around. Who's next?
Yeah. So whatever times the next, whatever time's on the schedule, that's when we're going to start, because we do have some people viewing at home, and they also have the agenda. So our next thing is 10:30. So you have a break, and we'll start again at 10:30.
All right, so if we pause the live stream or in the stream, we're going to have to restart it, and then you get a new link. So we have 30 more minutes. I'm going to end the stream. We'll send you a new link when the time comes. Does that make sense? So 30 more minutes and you'll have a new link. We'll send it to you via email and I guess text. Maybe. Miss Roy? Why in the screen? We'll have to start in the screen.
And moving back into the great and the north area is not, it's
I did. I talked to him for a minute.
okay.
Okay, nope, never mind. We're gonna just leave this on so it's continue going and then just check back in at 10:30 and we'll have our next session. So I'm not gonna end the stream. So it's just gonna keep going. Yay.
That were friends of ours. Same thing. And one of the best friends had it just friends to turn their camera on and they and their roommate is like and we started and so we created
Yeah, I think maybe to get his basics down and get someone who's ready to dive into engineering, then make that. So that's an outstanding architectural or something.
Hey, brother. At our school in service time, we have a little break. It is fun. You should come up here and just sit and be with us. That's important. Yes. I'm in the sound booth, so I'm segregated all by myself and nobody can see me. So, yeah. Yeah. Yes. That's right. Thank you.
I do have something for you, Marina. Yay, if you want a job. I bet I have something for you too.
Marina had it. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I've had all the late afternoons.
What's he up to?
So,
At least for a little while longer.
okay, and it's not gonna take very long. So, okay. She can come down to your room. Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a key. I got a key.
Wow. That's good. We should not have been teachers. Yeah.
Break so you can grab those pizzas.
Wow. No. No. That would have been, yeah. That's it. Oh, boy. Yeah. And that lawyer meeting's today too, isn't it? Oh, how'd it go? What happened? Yeah.
Not be able to walk with you.
That's, it's like $3,000. That's nothing. I mean, that's just, yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Well, that's good.
We had the meeting was really good. Mom was very happy. Your dad was mad that it was $2,400. You know, with that,
Yeah.
just something that, you know,
Yeah. Well, that's good. All right. Well, good luck. Oh, boy. All right. We'll see you.
Well, don't.
I know, I'm glad I brought a jacket today. I almost didn't, but I was like, ah, just in case.
It's getting a little cold in here. Is it pretty good?
Yeah, I think it's a little more breathable than at least the one I had.
But I hadn't washed mine yet, so. I'm sitting on the kitchen counter. Just gonna throw them up in the air. Yes, I am. It's exciting and also daunting. Every night. In, I'm actually doing really well. Out. Last night, Tucker, Josh, Johnny, and the puppy all had to help me get my left contract. She was held up to me. Okay. And everybody sees how I'm about to like, and they want to help me, but they don't. So everybody just stands out. It could be worse. And like, I think these contacts are becoming a problem.
Doing all right?
Pretty good, man.
It's insane, isn't it?
Getting her done.
Yeah. And so I could help with all of them. Oh, you can pass with like, how you get on your meeting? Start getting freaked out. I'm not. It's always the left. So just keep reading. Don't pass out. Okay, if you're in here already, good for you. You're timely. There is a Google Classroom code, Google Classroom to join. So open your computer and go to Google Classroom. And I did not do the easy thing and invite you all. Instead, I just gave you the code. So this is our in-service Google Classroom. So all of our slideshows and everything will be here, so you can access them on your screen. You don't always have to look up here, and you can look at something a little closer if you want to. So it's WFP for V as in Volvo to W. So this is a new classroom called Oakdale In-Service 2020-21. So the old one you can archive if you can as a student. I don't know if you can as a student. Yeah, I can archive it, I just didn't. It's a good idea to clean up your Google Classroom at the first of every school year anyway and archive your old classes. Don't archive summer reading though. You're lucky. Because you know when people share things and turn things in on Google Classroom and you're a teacher and you get a copy of it shared with you in your Google Drive? You have to join. No, the English teacher is new. So there's a Google Classroom for in-service where all of our documents and slideshows and links will be posted. And you can join it right now by clicking the, is it a plus sign? Is it plus sign? And join the class with the code WFP4B2W. Something that's easy, like Oakdale. Yeah. So Andy's showing you how to join now in Classroom. You go to the waffle, go to Classroom. And then you click the plus sign right at the top right-hand side. It says join a class. And then that's where you put in the code, which I don't have memorized, but starts with a W. WFP
You can take them.
Oh, it's okay.
No, yeah, good. Maybe.
Thank you.
So if you're having trouble joining the classroom, raise your hand and someone around you who has already gotten in will come over and help you. The code is WFP4B2W. Okay, Andy, if you could go back to the code. Thank you. WFP4B2W. Okay, anybody else having trouble getting on Google Classroom? Adding the class. So you'll see on Google Classroom now, under Monday's date, I have this slideshow on the stream, or actually, it could be in classwork as well. See, under Thursday, August 6th, I have the Return to Learn slideshow. That one's at 9:30, and then the distance learning slideshow will be right after that. So we'll do this one first. So if you're watching from home, this is where you get this information. Allie and Laura Heckenkemper are at home watching, so if you can hear me, Allie and Laura, if you didn't catch the Google Classroom code, text me. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So here's our new normal for 2020-21. Now, Jenna and I apologize because many of you have heard this before, because you've come to our voluntary teacher meetings, or you've been part of the committee that has helped put these things together, but we really need to go over all of it one last time to make sure we're all on the same page.
And we found that some people don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So we wanted to go over it so you have an understanding.
Right. Oh, I don't, here it is. Okay, so this is how our plan came to be. It's just pretty much we looked at what we could do that was safe and feasible and reasonable. We will have a virtual learning option, and you will not have to teach that. So everybody right now. As of right now, we have 17 people enrolled in it. It will have a full-time Oakdale teacher. It will be a teacher, but we aren't calling it a learning coach because this person will not be giving like live lessons or anything like that.
We have 17 kids that are confirmed, but then we have a list of almost 30. And so Phyllis is calling them right now. She sent an email, she's called, but she is getting a confirmation. But like Jill said, we'll have an Oakdale teacher that'll be doing this. This will take this off of your plates. So we're hoping this will help some.
Yeah. Okay, what is that noise? Who's having trouble with their computer? Everybody good? Okay. One thing we know we have to do this year is we have to mind the gap. There will be a gap. There were kids who did everything in quarter 4. There were few and far between. There were mainly a lot of kids who did a little, and there were even some that did nothing. So when we get back to school, it will be like some kids are a quarter short of where they normally would be. So there's going to be a gap, and we're going to have to figure out what to do with that. First of all, we have to know what is the gap. So we're going to have to assess, and we don't have state tests to look at. So we're going to have to do assessments right off the bat, probably, or close to right off the bat. We have Edmonton Exact Path, which we will be trained on in these PD days. We have IXL for reading and math for the whole school. We have STAR reading and math So we have a lot of ways we have study islands, so we have a lot of ways to assess the gap. And then we will need to be working at how do we then differentiate in the classroom to be able to accommodate for little Johnny, who did all the work during quarter 4, and then little Joey, who did nothing. We have, like I said, Exact Path. The most we know about it is like a 20-minute video we watched on it. We'll learn more about it this next few days. So we have some precautions that we're going to put in place in all levels. Green is like where we want to be. Green is a very, very low case.
Safe color.
Right, it's a very low safe virus number in our county. And that would mean that masks would be optional. That's the only level that masks are optional. We have to wear them in yellow, orange 1, orange 2, red, we just wear like a bubble suit. We are requiring everyone to check in at the kiosk as you did so well this morning. Thank you for being patient. There are 2 kiosks. If you didn't know, there's one in the 5th grade nurse's office, and that door is open for you to come in every day. And there's one in the front. We did have some questions that I'm going to try to cover right now, which is, what do I do if the answer to one of those questions might be yes? Do I just turn right around and drive back home? No, here's what you do.
Let us know first if that happens.
Don't just drive home. No, don't drive home. Contact Julie Hart, and you want to go like straight to the nurse's office and say, okay, I had to say yes to this question. Does this mean that I need to go home? And she will let you know whether or not you need to go home. Guests, if they poke yes, it's not going to let them in the building. No, that's fine. We don't need them. So, but we need you. So if you say yes to one of those questions, obviously probably not the fever one. Fever one, turn right back around and go home. But the other ones, just check with Julie first. And I promised Melissa that I would let her go first, and then I forgot. So Melissa, I'm going to let you go talk about cafeteria changes to that, and then we'll let you go back to your webinar or whatever it is. Come on up. I'm going to try to find the cafeteria slide. You can find the cafeteria slide. Click on it now. There it is.
Okay, normally we do an A and B. This year, we're just doing an A. There's not gonna be no A and B. And also, they're gonna come in pre-packaged boxes like you got your breakfast this morning. And they're not gonna be able to pick and choose what they can have, like green beans or fruit. They're gonna get everything. There's not gonna be any offer versus serve. And that's it. Okay, so they're just gonna come through the line, pick up their box, get their milk, and then they're gonna go wherever they're supposed to go. And elementary, if you are wanting to eat in your classroom, please get with me so we can work that out on how we want to do that. If they want to come to the cafeteria and pick up their deal, or if we need to cart it down to you. We need to know that, because there's only 3 of us and then 4 of us on certain days. Okay?
Also, thank you again for this wonderful.
Oh, you guys are welcome.
Thank you so much. And if you guys didn't know this, because I often wondered, why in the world are they asking 3rd graders whether they want green beans? Obviously, they're going to say no, right? It's federal law that you have to offer and serve.
Well, they think if they do that if they get to choose, then they're gonna eat it. That's child nutrition's way of thinking.
Yeah, but that we had to have a waiver from the federal government to not do offer and serve. So, there you go, we learned something today. Thank you, Melissa and Karen And Carrie. Okay, we'll go back to whatever slide we were on. Precaution, mask, something like that, yeah, that's. Okay, so if you have a question about when and where to wear a mask, I'm gonna try to clear that up. Everywhere, except for outside. Recess, you don't have to wear a mask. If you're outside in the outdoor fresh air, you don't have to wear a mask. Everywhere else you do. Except when you eat, because obviously you can't eat through a mask. So the cafeteria is, that's why Melissa said if you're choosing to eat in your classroom, because the cafeteria is really our hardest area to plan. Because the kids will take off their masks, they'll be eating, they'll be yelling at each other. There's a lot of air shared. So we've got to figure out how to separate as much as we can and try to keep down the level of contamination. Maybe we say, you know, it has to be really quiet in the lunchroom, no yelling, because that keeps down the volume of air or something like that. But that is an option we're going to talk about later that you guys will be able to decide upon. But masks are required for students and teachers. Okay, I have a clicker. Yes.
I know all my different there's something that I want to be able to see with my mask or rolling or whatever. I can talk up there.
Yes, but we also have a plastic mask. I don't think they've come in yet, but we ordered a whole box of clear plastic masks that will be available for early childhood, elementary, and anybody else who needs to roll their R's. But I would just say, just try to keep that as the rule of thumb, is that you're just always wearing your mask. Because what we've heard from a lot of experts, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, is the viral load in the air. So if everybody has, even if they're 6 feet apart, if everyone has their mask off, talking, all of a sudden there's a lot more chance of the virus being in the air if anybody is sick with it.
So and get ready, you're gonna have parents that are gonna ask every which question we can think of. Let's see, if I have asthma, can I keep a mask off? Well, we're finding out that asthmatics are ones that need it the most. And our physician, which I hate saying that fact team, but the physician health advisory team, they recommended asthmatics wear masks. You'll have some say, well, can I just get on 504 IEP and not have to do a mask? Well, no. So let's say if you have a significant need and you're on an IEP, we'll look at that as a case-by-case basis. But so they're going to try to pull every little thing. So hopefully we alleviated some of that with emails that we've answered this summer, and they won't be bombarding you. But get ready.
And teachers, we're just leaving the mask procedure in your classroom, besides the fact that they do need to wear them. Up to you. Like, what do you do if it's falling down? You know, where do you hang it when PE has a plan and all of that? We're kind of leaving that up to you. If a child does not have a mask, if it's lost, damaged, or they're in need of a mask, we'll provide them with one there in the front office, middle school office, and nurse's office. So you can just send them on up there. Okay, so we talked about in class, yes. We talked about outdoor, no. And we talked about hallways, buses, all of that, yes. So just anywhere where we are interacting with others. And one of the reasons why this is necessary is because if we were to have someone who is infected, right? And if everyone is wearing a mask, then the chances of us having to shut down that classroom or pod area are much lower than if you said, oh, well, when we got into the classroom, everyone took off their mask. Well, guess what? You guys are all home. So that's what we're trying to avoid, is just minimizing how many people have to stay out of school. Cleaning and sanitizing, I'm gonna let Mike talk about how the school's being cleaned a little bit. And when it's being cleaned and what's being cleaned in your classroom.
So
I made a different schedule for the custodial crew. That will start on the first day of class for kids. And we'll have one custodian that's here in the morning from 8 when everybody gets here. That will be an 8-hour shift. And then 2 custodians will come at 11 and work until 7. And that will be over lunch hour, which is going to be different now than before. And then we have one custodian coming from 4 to midnight. So maybe the hours aren't exactly right, but those are the start times. So there's shifts throughout the day. Almost every room, almost every area is going to be cleaned outside of class time, almost. I couldn't get everything done. There's still going to be some rooms that are going to have to be cleaned during your playing time. So, but it's better than it was before. I'm going to have a list for them of things to do, the typical sweeping the floor, taking out the trash. But we're going to need your help because the better and more often you have your desks, including your desk, wiped off and sanitized, the better it's going to be for everybody. And lots of kids coming in and out. If you can help us with that, I don't know how you would want to do that, if it's something they do when they come in or maybe when they leave. Just part of that procedure. Every classroom should have a big, large bucket in it at this point, and it contains sanitizing wipes. Those are antibacterial, antiviral wipes. So I thought that have a large container, it lasts longer. So you run out, we'll get some more, but that should last everyone a while. We've had one in the gym now for all summer long, and it's still going. You also have 2 containers of hand sanitizer in there. You'll get some with your school supplies, I know, but there should be 2 bottles of sanitizer in your rooms as well for the kids when they come in. So those are supplies that are in your room.
So Mike, will the custodians be wiping down student desks?
At this time, if the teachers, if the kids are going to do it at the end of the day, then I would say we don't need to wipe it down again.
Okay.
Maybe we see how things go.
What about the electrostatic sprayer? Will that be used?
That can be used. Here's the thing with the electrostatic spray. I could come in, it's right over here. I can take that and spray off things very quickly. And it has the product in there will kill viruses. It has a chlorine odor to it, which may or may not bother you, I don't know. But that right now, the only product I have to put in there that will kill a virus has that odor. So if you want someone to do that over your desk after you've wiped them off, it's going to leave a film on there. We could try that and see what you think. But I'll have 3 guns. I only have 1 right now. The other 2 are on back order because everybody wants them. So the high-touch surfaces are the areas in which the custodians are going to be focusing on. And if you can help focus on those 2, then that would be best.
Okay. Thank you.
No, I haven't used it in your room yet. I'll have someone check your room. So, let me look and see what else is on the bullets here. The other things we've done, water fountains. There's still 2 that need to be finished. I got an electrician out here first, but I added fill stations right over here in the hallway of Fine Arts. I added a fill station in the middle school pod. I may add a second one. Right now it's on the east wall. There's a water fountain on the west wall. I may add another one too, depending on if they can get it done. There's going to be one in the kindergarten hall entrance. I'm waiting for the electrician to get here to move the outlet before I put it on. And then there's one in second and third pod and one in fourth grade pod.
And one
So,
in fifth?
The fifth has 2 already. I mean, they were already in there.
Yeah.
The plumber is also supposed to try and cap the actual drinking fountain portion and still allow the refillable portion to work. That's the plan. I'm gonna ask him and see what he says. So we definitely want to discourage students from drinking out of the fountain as they normally would. So you're going to be dealing with water bottles, but there's a fillable station, more of those throughout the building. The buses, oh, go ahead, question?
Yeah, what's the stand we're gonna take headphones on while in the classroom.
They're gonna be allowed. Yeah, especially when we have like all day long in the same classroom and we're not letting them go out into the pod to mix and mingle as much. We're gonna have to allow that. I mean, I'm getting dehydrated from wearing this mask because you never drink, because your mouth isn't available to you. So I think we're gonna have to work on making sure kids are drinking water.
Last spring, we started, disinfecting the buses after use. We'll continue to do that. I know that Matt and Tim, they're gonna be getting off the route to get to the classroom, so I'm not gonna ask them to do that, but I'll have Jim. He'll be in charge of making sure those are sprayed down after the morning routes and then after the afternoon routes as well. All right, the HVAC units. So this is a little bit maybe misunderstood. So our HVAC is on, okay? And we have two types of units in our school. We have geothermal, which is runs the water goes through the ground, like that's how it's cooled and heated. And we have traditional rooftop units. There is not a setting that I'm aware of that I can turn and say fresh air or recirculation air like you do on your car. There is not a setting for that. Our units are on or they are off. The filters are being replaced. And if there is a setting that we can adjust, I'll look into it, but I'm not aware of one. So when it says HVAC units will be set to maximum ventilation and outdoor air, they're set as they're set. So that's all I can tell you about that. All right, anything else? All right.
Thank you. Okay, any questions about cleaning and sanitizing? All right, our school nurse, Julie Harker. Are you in here? There she is. We are only going to screen student temperature if we get into orange level 2. Otherwise, parents are expected to screen their students at home. That's part of the deal of sending your kiddo to school. And Julie is working on, and I gave you a handout that has the flow chart that she created. And also it has a letter from Dr. Kniester that is helping us. It's helping guide us when employees or staff come with a question about, hey, this happened. If you don't have one, Aubrey, are there any more? Okay, I'll have to make some more copies. It's also in this presentation, but I didn't think you could see it up here very well. So the second thing, the letter in there is from Dr. Kniester, and it says what to do if you or someone you live with or are close to has symptoms or has been exposed, and how long do you stay home waiting on the test results and that kind of thing. That's what we needed guidance on. And so that has some very helpful information that we'll be looking at. We'll also be contacting the PHAT committee, but I know they don't want to be dealing with the minutia of day-to-day decisions. So this will help us a lot. So Julie's going to tell you a little bit about her new situation up in the 5th grade and the policies and procedures for a nurse.
Everyone that I don't know, welcome to Oakdale. Just going to quickly go over a couple of nursing things and then just talk about COVID for a minute. First of all, I want to give everybody my phone number. That way you need to call me because I'm by myself. I've got neighboring 5th graders, which I'm excited. But otherwise, I'm going to be kind of lonely without Tamara. Jenna. 405-620-0975. I'll repeat. 405-620-0975. I don't always have it in my hand or I don't always have a pocket. So if I don't respond in a timely manner, I'm either dealing with something or I'll try to get there. So text or call. I think the biggest thing I want you to know is I have a nurse page under the administration tab. It's, it's not as savvy as maybe some people's websites, but I try to put information on that site. And at the very top, at this point, and it's always a work in process, I put a bunch of asthma information. I've got an asthma action plan on there, and I've also got 4 great little tools, assessment tools, that I'm going to try to steer parents to looking at, that they can self-assess with their kids. If they're having trouble wearing a mask and they're asthmatic, then maybe they need better control on their asthma management. We may need to go see the asthma doctor, and I'm saying this respectfully because we've probably all done it, instead of the orthopod surgeon neighbor who wrote us a script for inhaler. Just, if they're having difficulty, we need to make sure their management is good. So that document will take care of a lot of that stuff. The other things that I have on there, and it's not there yet, I'm going to put a medication authorization form, allergy information, but there's meningitis stuff, there's cold versus flu, there's healthy fits, just, a lot of different things. So you can always gear the parents toward that for information. Let's see. Also the student handbook. Student handbook, which is with the policies, and under that tab, has the things that we want people to stay home for. The fever of 100, vomiting, diarrhea, those kind of things. We don't want them back in school for 24 hours without any of those kind of episodes. The fever, 24 hours without taking fever-reducing medications. So you point your parents to that as well. And I'm going to try to do a note to them. The COVID news, I'm sorry I don't have it ready for you, but Phyllis is going to help me put something on the main webpage, because I think parents will look at things on the main page rather than go seek out my thing. The things there that we're going to put on are symptoms. I'll have one in English, one in Spanish. I'll also have a comparison chart, because just because they have a cough or just because they have a fever, it may not be COVID. It could be asthma, it could be allergies, it could be strep throat, those kind of things. I'm going to put a screening tool, and just please know it's fluid, it's stuff coming at us all the time, changing. I've got something from the CDC that's a screening tool, and it was just printed the 24th. That it doesn't have chills, body aches, fatigue, congestion, runny nose, loss of taste or smell. So, it's got the sore throat, the new cough, new uncontrolled cough with difficulty breathing, different from your asthma baseline cough, the diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, new onset of a severe headache, especially with the fever. So they're saying if you have one of those, deal with that. But there's a second section. If you've had close contact with somebody, if you've had this positive or suspect, or if you've traveled to an area, those kind of things. If you answer yes to those two, that's when CDC suggests referring to a healthcare professional and testing. So you all can see there's a lot of conflicting information. So we will use lots of different people. It's just not me. I'm not trying to be a physician or nurse practitioner. So we'll use a lot of different eyes and look at case by case.
And I think
PPE, I'm watching for an email from somebody from the State Department of Education. I'm our contact for that, is what I understand. I got an email about it. And so when we get information, then I'll know what they're going to be giving to us. I do have some boxes of masks. I do have some thermometers. I think more are coming. I have
5 new ones came in yesterday.
And I know I have at least one box. I haven't exhaustively looked at these masks. Palmer's asking about it, so I don't know who else is wanting that, but we have at least one of them. So other supplies. does anybody need anything from me supply-wise that's not PPE related? I think last year we did Band-Aids, but I think you're getting them in your school supplies, student supplies this year?
Is that correct, Jenna? Okay, well, we'll get you Band-Aids one way or the other.
That way we can all share it too, but if we have it, that way we don't have to put on the student.
Okay,
Something that's a quantity.
okay, yes.
Because I'm not a classroom teacher, the students won't come with supplies for me. So is there a way that I can get extra supplies like sanitizer and extra masks and stuff as needed?
Yeah, you should have 2 bottles of hand sanitizer in your room from Mike's Delivery.
Yes.
And then, yeah, there's extra, there'll be like a store, there's extra wipes right now in the middle school workroom because we store, or have stored in the past, all of ours together in the middle school workroom. So if anyone who is not a classroom teacher and doesn't get a direct supply, just please check with your coworkers who do. And you guys who do get a direct supply, make sure you're sharing with special ed, art, band, PE, all of those different, like Miss Harkins probably doesn't have any wipes given directly to her.
When I get the supplies from the state, I'll figure out what all we have and if I need to order some. Because we can probably use maybe even what the cafeteria uses. So just the 2, that's all. Anybody else need? Shot, I want to talk about shots real quick. I've been working on trying to make a list of the students that are non-compliant on their shots. And I'm waiting to the last minute because I know a lot of them wait till the last minute, but I'm going to ask for those students before that they get their virtual packets or before they get their teacher, just even if they just have a conversation with me. I know there's some that are getting appointments, in a couple of weeks, that kind of thing. But I know I have one 6th grader that's still missing the shot, and I need that. And I contacted the family, and I need that family to have a conversation with me. Same with the TDAP. Health concerns, the parents, same situation. They don't always do their permissions in a timely manner, so I'm kind of waiting on them to come in. But as soon as I get all those things, it's pretty easy with Phyllis's database. It's a blessing. But I can just click on asthma. I can get a whole list of asthma students quickly. The last time I checked was about 20. But asthma, cardiac, medications, those kind of things. When I get that information, I'll send you or I'll share with you at a table. So has that been helpful in the past? Or?
Definitely, especially on a field trip.
At this point, I do not have any students that require a defined time with me this year. All my students that have had that are not here.
Yeah, those of you who don't know, Stacy moved to Guthrie, so Stacy won't be here this year.
I don't have any medications at this point, but when I get them, I'll try to get with you and figure out when the most convenient time. I hate to interrupt your class, so I usually try to do it around the lunch or the recess time. But, my concern is kindergarten and 1st grade, because it's a long way to the nurse's office. So we'll try to work out a flow for that. What I'm saying is I may have some more freedom to come to you to get them if I need to, or we may be able to use Phyllis or anyone in the back office or perhaps some office aides. So just call or.
Did you talk to them about texting or calling you before they send the little one to the nurse?
I didn't say that, but maybe some of the upper grades, you could let me know they're coming. If that's easy to do, so I'll be watching for them.
But more the lower grades, right? The little ones.
That's who I'm concerned about,
Right.
the first.
Yeah, so if you send a kindergartner, make sure nurse Harder knows to expect him or her, because then if they don't show up, we can start looking. Where did they go? Instead of
Then the rest is just COVID, just be looking for things on the main webpage. I'm gonna put, like I said, symptoms, figure out a screening tool that encompasses a lot of stuff. We've worked on this and you'll see it in the slides.
They have it in front of them too.
It's been a work in progress, you know that, and it changes all the time, so. And I just now got to see Dr. Knister's stuff today, and the State Department of Ed has updated their return to work yesterday, so I'm trying to go through all that. So the exposure, I wish everything were A and B or black and white, but there's gonna be some great things.
So, Ms. Parker, you may have said this while I was found making copies, but let's say that a second grader in my class, a parent contacts me and says, you know, they're not coming to school because they had a COVID positive test. How then do we notify the families that need to be notified? Is that the teacher's responsibility or the administrator's responsibility?
I would like anybody that gets a report of anything COVID oriented to funnel to me first, or just, I need the information. I'm not saying don't contact your principal at all, or Dr. Pierce. You can do us all at the same time,
Yeah,
but please make
Put us all
sure.
in the same email.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about it third party.
Right. But you will do the notifying. Correct me if I'm
I'm
wrong.
glad to do that, because I need to talk with them, I need to get the details,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. I'm gonna be asking any child that comes sick these questions.
And we do have to be a little careful, just like if you had a child with head lice. You wouldn't say, you know, so-and-so has head lice, so beware, check your kid. You might say a child in my class with regular pod, but let's just be really cautious and careful that we don't. Not that COVID is like HIV or anything like that, but it's just, you know, it doesn't have a stigma, I hope, but maybe it could, so we just have to be careful.
Well, and we're gonna try to be consistent with everybody. I'm gonna treat you like I would want you to treat me, and your privacy with the students. Some parents don't care, some parents are private. I was also gonna say, if a child, a second grade child is positive, and we find out we have an exposure, they come to school, we do have some guidelines, and I think some flow charts up, that we have some guidelines on how we might address a single class, how we might address a grade. You know, we have that for pre-K through 4, and we have something for 5th through 8th, you know, with the way your classes are. You know, you just gotta look at every potential group that might have been exposed or come into contact. We have some teachers.
Yes, and we already have form letters created, ready to go, should we need to do that. Thank you, Nurse Parker, for all your hard work. Okay, we talked about our public health advisory team. These are the people on it. They were very, very helpful in our meeting that we had with them, talking about our plan and what things to adjust in our plan. They have firsthand knowledge of the disease. They have firsthand knowledge of the maps, because Dr. Leonard is like involved in making the maps every week. So we really are blessed to have such an expert panel to be able to contact. And they've been super good about emailing us back if we have a question about, hey, how's this supposed to work? There's the plan. Okay, so this is a document that I linked here that you have in front of you, that is Dr. Knister's letter of just kind of helpful guidance, because it's hard to know what to do if, you know, maybe your person that you live with has been tested, but you don't have the results. Does that mean you can come to work or what? So there's the guidance that we have from her. And just let us know. Anything that happens, let us know, and we'll walk you through what the best plan is for us to maintain the safety of the students, and so we can also keep you in the classroom. So, how will we switch levels? There's been some confusion about this. I'm going to try to clear it up, but probably I'm going to confuse you more. So, every Friday, the Oklahoma Health Department puts out a map of the counties in Oklahoma and what their color code is. And the color code is based on the number of cases per 100,000. So up to 24 cases per 100,000, and I don't know the cutoff for yellow, but right now we're in orange 1 and it's up to 24. I don't know what the low number is. If it gets to 25, that's orange level 2. So that's what we're trying to not get to. We don't want to get to 25. We will start school based on whatever number it is on the Friday before school starts. Luckily, we aren't starting school till the following Thursday, so that gives us a few days to digest and plan and make adjustments. But if we were to start school today, it would be orange level 1, okay? Now here's what we decided based on the PHAT committee. Whatever we start school at, we won't move down until September 25th. Even if it goes to yellow the next week, we're not moving down. Just for safety. If it moves up, obviously we'll move up. But if it moves down, we're gonna wait till September 25th, we've been in school a month, to move down and relax our protocols. Okay? Of course, this is where you guys can help us too, encouraging your families. The only way that this will be successful is if whatever we are implementing here, parents are also implementing at home. It doesn't help if we're keeping them away from other children during the day and they go home and wrestle around on the trampoline with 15 other neighbors. So we've got to kind of encourage parents to help us, just like they help us with homework and academics at home. They need to help us with the social distancing at home as well. Anything else, Iron? Yes. We have in kind of a hint format, but we debated about how to do that. I don't really want to get into a big Q&A forum, but I also know that parents don't read anything.
That's what we're finding. It's like 70% of them don't read any of the slides, any of the emails, or.
I mean, we have had 2 emails, I kid you not, in the last day saying, which days am I coming to school, Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday?
And then we've had some that they've said, can we just make our own option? So if we want to be AP, can we just do that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of all over the map.
So we may have to do some sort of video, whether that's live or recorded, that we send out, just kind of helping parents understand we need their help at home as well.
And trying to streamline it by having all the emails go through Dr. Pierce, because I know in the spring, since they were coming from everybody, that was hard. So then they would know if you got a Joe Pierce email, check that. But yeah, we're still trying.
Thank you, though. That is good to put back on our top of our to-do list.
And I think our PHAT team, they'd probably
help you. You're right. So here's what the State Department put out as far as what you should do in the different levels. Here's where Oakdale has deviated from this. In Orange Level 1, the State Department recommends that you start moving towards distance learning, and in Orange Level 2, they recommend you are doing distance learning. We decided to tweak that to where we're doing in Orange Level 2, distance learning at school. So you're coming into your classroom, you're staying in your classroom all day with your 20 or 22 cohorts and your teacher, and that's it. So we tweaked that model a little bit. But when it gets to red, we have to go to distance learning because it means there's not enough contact tracing available in our county, and it also means there's not enough beds in the hospitals or ICUs. So what do we need to do to prepare? And we'll work on all of this in these 10 days of insert, or I don't know how many days it is. 10, thank you. Teachers will create standardized activities for each switch to distance learning, such as like a Rocket Review Monday, so that teams of teachers have a day to plan together, and then Tuesday, start teaching online. Like, let's say we moved from Orange Level 2 to Red. You would have something to push out to your students to do on Monday while you got ready to start distance learning on Tuesday. So we'll work on some Monday, some Rocket Review sort of setups. And then we have, of course, Edmentum. These would be options for Rocket Review, like Edmentum Day, Study Island Day, Gizmo Day, IXL. You could do some project-based learning, some reading projects. Those kinds of things could be what you normally do on Monday. And then we're also going to ask you to try to have 2 weeks of pocket plans. We realize that this is difficult for some subject levels or areas that build on itself, but see if you can find something to have so that if you were to get sick and have to be out of class for a week, or any other reason why you would need to be able to pull some plans out of your pocket already done, or the administrator can pull them out of the pocket plans folder and give them to your son.
And teachers, Pay Teachers has tons of like pre-made plans.
Yeah.
For like 1 or 2 weeks that we could get from.
Yeah.
So,
They would have, no, they would have Google, I mean, your students would have Google Classroom. And they'd be able to pull that up. Yeah. Yeah, so everything needs to be done through Google Classroom. And the subs will know how to get on and do all that stuff, the Wendy and Robbie. But our other subs coming in, they aren't going to have a computer, or they aren't going to be trained and that kind of thing.
During that time, if you need to train it to our classes.
Not unless you want to, Elizabeth.
I
But,
feel able.
I mean, feel free. I love that. But no, you're not required to do that. I mean, would you be required to probably put some lesson plans out for, on Google Classroom and those kinds of, if you loaded them on there, it'd be great because your, students could get them. And that would be, like, if you have a sick kid at home, sometimes you aren't able to do a lot of stuff because you're cleaning up and following them around with a bucket and all that. So that's when those pocket things are going to be handy, because you won't have to worry. And they're already there to you to say, hey, Jill, get those out of the pocket plan folder and put them on this, my desk for me, and there, I've got it. So, and it has all the links in there and everything they would need.
I would think digital.
Digital, it works best because we're thinking this is going to be a time when maybe your whole class is at home or something like that. So yes, digital. If it has a paper in there, like a PDF, just link it in there, and then the sub can print it out, or if they're at home, they can print it out. But a PDF can also be pulled up on a screen and looked at. So we're going to have time to make those during professional development. Okay, so green. I'm just going through the levels here, just so you know. Green is where we want to be. It's good. Yellow is where we thought we were going to be, but Oklahoma County has moved up into orange level 1. So yellow level is mask and social distancing required. Teachers teach in person in their classrooms. There's some differences here. You can look at them. But it's pretty normal, It's not green, but it's pretty normal. Orange 1 is where we will start school, is where we're thinking we're going to start school, but hopefully it doesn't go up. It's a little bit different. Pre-K through 3rd are in required cohort groups all day long. 4th through 8th, 4th has figured out a way to do block. 5th has figured out a way to do block. And so 4th through 8th are going to be in block schedules on Orange Level 1. That means 50% fewer class changes. And red day in middle school is your odd day. So it's 1st, 3rd, 7th, and every day you go to 8th hour. okay? So red is odd, blue is even, second, fourth, sixth, eighth. And those will just alternate every other day. Orange level 1. Yes, red day is the first day of school. First hour, third hour, seventh hour, eighth hour. Okay, and orange level 2 is where we hope we don't have to go, but it is strict family cohort. So you're with your class all day long. Your other teachers, if they teach other subjects, can stream into your classroom live if you want to do that. In middle school, it doesn't work out so well. And so actually, you could probably record yourself teaching or record a lesson on Screencastify, and then you push that out to Google Classroom, and the kids watch it on their computers. So it's just a way that we don't have to have kids at home for distance learning. And red level is school is closed, and all classes move to distance learning, with a very limited special population attend in person. And that very limited special population would be teachers' kids that go to Oakdale and special education students. Oops, I skipped one. There we go. Entry to school. We've already talked about this one a little bit. We have to check into kiosks for teachers. But there is a big change, and that is instead of students hanging out in hallways and pod areas, students will go directly to, doors aren't going to open until 8:10. That's when the buses will get here, 8:10. Unlock the doors, open them, kids go straight to their first hour class, where the teacher who has the first hour is squirting them with hand sanitizer and welcoming them in and overseeing them until school starts at 8:20. If you don't have a first hour, then your job is to be in the pod areas, hallways, directing people, get to your first hour, get to your first hour, get to your first hour. So we don't have congregating mix of people in the pod areas.
Also, I think Melissa will elaborate a little more on the fork here, but she has a special door that they're going to go in, and it's behind the gate, close to the kitchen. And so that way, that side door by the gym entrance won't just be open for parents to drop kids off. And starting at 8:10, like Jill will be outside at one post, I'll be at the front carpool outside, and Dr. Pierce will be somewhere. So we'll be helping to corral herd the cats outside so that they don't come
Get them in.
Yeah.
Yes, Lisa. No, they will be able to eat in the cafeteria, but it's going to be really quick, like an 8:10 to 8:20 lunch. I mean breakfast. So that's one thing Melissa and we discussed was how can we really
A lot of grab and go items.
Yeah, expedite that process. So like the first day of school, breakfast is a banana and a Nutrigrain bar.
And she may have muffins or something.
Yeah. Okay. So I already talked about that. Before prayer and after prayer, visitors and guests will only be permitted by appointment, and they must check in and wear masks. And we will still have PALs, and we can still have library volunteers because those are by appointment and they'll be checked in at the front with the mask. We are not allowing parents to come in and eat lunch with their students, and we are discouraging lunch delivery. Classrooms and hallways, try to, when you set up your classroom, I know this is not possible for everyone, especially those people that have circle tables. Try to face your students all one direction so they're not breathing, talking on each other. And they aren't supposed to share supplies. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Jenna, in elementary?
The supplies. Yes, we'll talk some about that at our elementary meeting on Friday, but we're thinking like the school supply boxes, the bags, everybody will have their own individual thing.
Yeah.
And then specials teachers, they're going to talk to you more too when we get to the specials part about their expectations and what the kids need to bring to their class as well.
And for middle school, I know we've done several different things in the past few years, but students will need to have their own supplies. So not like pencils grabbed out of a bucket and handed out or whatever, or a big bucket of colored pencils. Every student needs to have their own supplies, so we're not sharing germs on there. Students will, Mike touched on this a little bit, but in middle school, especially when they're switching classes, they need to wipe down those desks before they leave. That just needs to be a classroom procedure that happens like the exit ticket. Your exit ticket is you're wiping the trash can or whatever. That's not very academic, but still. Specialists, we talked about that. And also, thankfully, every classroom will have an amplification system. If you already have one that's in the ceiling that has a little retainer case around your neck, you'll keep that. But if you have a red cap, it's going to be replaced with a Juno. Cafeteria, this is the hard one. So we do know one thing for sure. 8th grade is going to eat in the middle school pot. And 6th and 7th are going to eat in the cafeteria. There's just no way to social distance with all 3 grades in one cafeteria. So we do know that for sure. Other than that, we're going to have to see how it works out. With 6th and 7th, we'll see if we can socially distance and sit every other seat. So 4 to a table instead of 8. And the same with the other grades. And then elementary is going to have their own discussion about that. Well, I thought about that, but it's Oklahoma. And every time I've ever taken kids outside to eat, everything has blown everywhere. Napkin, little spork, everything. So if the weather was perfect, we also don't have anywhere to sit outside. So,
Jill, Laura Heckenkemper just asked if we can repeat the questions. If people
the question was, Laura, can we eat outside? And the answer is, yeah, but I don't think it'll work very well. And we also don't have very many trash cans outside unless you eat down on the football field. Anything else? Administrators will have a rotating lunch duty.
There's a bullet there that says hand washing / sanitizing will occur before eating. I'm going to put up additional desk with a sanitizer, but I'm not planning on creating a hand washing station, because that would in itself put a water on the floor still, so.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to encourage you to do is with your teammates and who you go to lunch with and recess with, just sit down one time in some of this empty space we have built into professional development and think about it. How am I going to get my kids in from recess and wash their hands or sanitize their hands before they sit down to eat lunch? Or how am I, because some kids go straight from 4th hour, 5th grade goes straight from 4th hour to lunch. You know, is there going to be a procedure for going to the bathroom, washing your hands before you get to the lunch table? And those kinds of things. So just kind of walk yourself through it and try to figure out what the best procedure is for your grade level. Okay. Any other questions about the cafeteria? Yes, Lisa? The question is, do they? Who's they? Do the cafeteria workers still want us to line up in classes? I believe you probably are referring to Michelle, who's checking off their lunches.
No, I had done something that we have to line up in classes. We used to line up the room and group that A lunch, B lunch, and lunch.
Right, and there is no A or B lunch. I get you. Okay, here's the answer to that.
They've been tossing around the idea of serving the kids, like bringing it to them.
Yeah.
So, or calling the kids, like having them go ahead and sit at the tables, and then just calling like table 1, you're gonna come up and get your box.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having a big huge line.
Yeah, we're gonna have round circles, yellow circles, so it's a stand air circle. So there's gonna be a limited amount of people who can be in the line at one time. I don't remember how many circles we got, like 20 or 25. Any other questions about lunch? outdoor recess. Pretty similar to what we've normally done with a few adjustments. So, you want to talk about elementary?
Yes, and we're gonna go over cafeteria stuff, recess, all of that, and we're gonna have a big discussion at the elementary staff meeting. So we kind of get into the weeds and details about that.
Okay, for outdoor recess for middle school, there's just a couple changes. 3 teachers on duty, 1 for each grade level. And if you have indoor recess, you stay with your 4th hour class during that recess time. No staying in. Okay, so everyone goes outside for recess. Unless you have like a club meeting, which mostly club meetings are going to be done virtually anyway. So we're going to try to make everybody go outside. Get the fresh air every day. Unless it's indoor recess, then you stay with your 4th hour. And feels like temperature less than 32, feels like temperature over 100. That's a good reason to stay in, or if it's raining. And we are going to have strict physical distancing during recess. So you don't want them wrestling or kissing, but anything else, it's pretty much okay. I mean, it's outside. So we're going to be sanitizing our hands when we come in. So we need them to get outside and play. And we encourage extra recess. Especially during like if we're in the strict family cohorts, take your class outside many times. Don't mix with other classes, but we have a big outdoor area. I'm sure you can find a place where you can be like, this is where my class is. You guys stay over there. After school dismissal, this is a big new one. Okay. Oh man, Jenna and Mike left me too. Oh wow. Okay. So we have signed up for School Safe ID car rider. This means that each family at Oakdale will have a tag number. So the Pittses are tag number 356. So when Ms. Pitts pulls up to pick up her child, someone pokes in 356 into their phone, into the car rider system, and 356 shows up on everybody's computer screen that is logged into the car rider system. And it says Lainey Pitts and I can't remember your other daughter's name. I know, but what's your other daughter? Macy. Okay, so Lainey Pitts and Macy Pitts need to be picked up at line number 1. Then if you have Lainey Pitts and you have Macy Pitts, then you say, okay, bye, and they leave your room. So I've kind of segued into the next portion. During 8th hour, during carpool pickup, at the end of 8th hour, everyone stays in their 8th hour class. Now, obviously, there are going to be some exceptions. Matt Hall is an exception. He drives a bus. Tim Welch is an exception. He drives a bus. But we'll work out those details. But everyone else, your class stays in your room. You pull up your car rider system. Your bus people are gone. They just walk to the bus. And whenever your car riders filter out, and the carpool line on a normal day takes until about 3:30 at the middle school, maybe a little bit later. It will take longer at the first of school, obviously, when we're working through these kinks. But it's not going to be like a huge amount of time, maybe 10, 15 minutes until the last kid is gone from your room. Now, we do have a second bus route this year. We thought we weren't, but when the second rule form we sent out, yes, we do. So the second bus, the latest second bus gets to school at 3:40, according to the timetable. So if you have a second bus rider on bus number 4, probably, those second bus riders will leave when that bus gets here at 3:40. And we put a few things we thought about on this slide, like who's going to be walking. Kelly Smith walking pre-K and kindergarten the bus, Susie Sadler walking first grade to the bus, Christine Ford walking pre-K. That does not mean that those people just walk them to the bus and are done. Those people will also be the car number inputters and the loaders at different stations, because we also need car number inputters and loaders. Andy, can you click on that little video I have linked there?
I'm Kara Turnagain, the principal at Frontier Elementary here in Edmond, Oklahoma. Our school piloted the school safe ID for a number of years, and we liked that process, and it's worked really well. We liked the company, we liked working with Bart. So when he said he was working on an app and a program, we wanted to jump in on that.
Before the Car Radar Plus app, our biggest two issues were, one, time, getting them out of school in an efficient manner. The second thing was, if a student got in the incorrect car, we had no way of verifying those things. So it just was very busy and loud and just chaotic would be the word that I would use.
It's been helpful to make it go quickly and to help us know what car is coming and what order the parents are in, so that our students can be ready in a line to get dismissed and to go to their car. Now that we have implemented Car Radar Plus, our parent pickup dismissal is much more streamlined. Parents used to have to wait for, about 45 minutes or so from start to finish, and we're done in 20-25 minutes. And we have a student enrollment of 850. We have just pre-K, so we have 4 classes of about 21 students and some loaded daycare, but it takes us about 10 minutes to get all of our 80 students, or more or less, in their cars.
The biggest thing that's happened for me is a parent picked a student up at around 4:20 and came in and said, "I'm so sorry, last year I was able to get here at 4:20 and there was still a line and I was able to make it, I will be here earlier."
Training new parents a new procedure, it takes a little bit of time, but we have had positive feedback for how safe we are, how precise we are, and it's just very safe and secure. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, we know that child is supposed to get in that car because their backpack tag matches the car tag. So it really took away that fear of, am I putting the child in the right car or not?
My favorite thing about Car Radar Plus is because there are 800 students in our school, that's why I'm doing my best, but I don't know all 800. So to be able to click that image button and have a picture to say, okay, this is that student. To me, that's so helpful.
As an administrator, an added feature to Car Radar Plus that I hope I never have to use is the insurance policy that if we had to evacuate and we had to reunify with parents off-site at another location because of an emergency or a natural disaster, I know I can match up my students with their parent using the backpack tag with the car radar tag. It's a very safe and efficient way to help students go to the right car and to get them home safely. Hands down, I would encourage any principal to reach out to Bart, because just seeing the process, how quickly we get through it, how streamlined it is, and just how safe and secure it is has been phenomenal.
I like how they have their safety patrol loading cars. I was on safety patrol in 5th grade. I loved it. We obviously won't do that. The main reason we're doing this year is so we don't have the big congregations of students out on the carpool pickup lines. And we're also contemplating using it for buses. The number one thing that happens every year, the first day or two, is some parent will call and say, my child didn't get off the bus. Or we'll have some confusion about where a student is. And this will allow us to say, hey, at 3:40, dad picked him up. He had your tag. Because you can't get into a car without that tag. Well, you can. If we know a parent, there's some ways around it, but it's safer. And if we can click everybody in when we're getting on the bus, which we're still working on the details of that, then that'll tell us, oh, well, they got on the bus, they must have got off on the wrong stop or something. So we can start deducing where they are. So we're gonna practice that during our jump off days. Yes, ma'am?
If parents ask for multiple tasks, they do that to us all the time, the ones, the yellow ones. Is that an option with this or no?
Let me see, I have it over here. Oh, the question was if parents ask us for multiple tags, can they get one? And I think they have to pay for it. But let me look. So this is what a family gets. This is number 376. You have 2 parent tags and 3 kid tags. Now, if you have more than 3 kids, there are some like blanks. We can just write in the number with a Sharpie. And so in answer to your question, Kim, it looks like they gave us some blanks of the car tag as well. So yes, but not everybody can have 14 of them. And you may just need to trade, give the tag to your grandma if grandma's picking them up. Do you have a lot of people that have 3 people pick up?
They switch around, like the sitter one day or dad one
Right.
day or grandma one
Yeah.
day. But it wouldn't be any more than 3. No.
Yeah, so I think we'll be okay giving them just 1 extra tag.
But
And I mean, seriously, you could write it on orange construction paper and they could put it in their flip down divisor anyway, just as long as it has the number.
that would be fine. Okay.
So we're gonna practice that. I just mentioned our jump start days, except I think I actually call them jump off. We're not jumping off the bridge. It's jump start days. And you may or may not know that we have, since we were able to push school start date back 5 days, we were able to plan in some jump start days where the grade levels will be coming up for an hour to get to see you, their classroom. You will need to have some procedures set up for that hour. What are you going to do in that hour? You're going to go over school supplies and maybe get your school supplies in the box, or, there will be some things that you will need to plan for that hour. And then when the parent drops off, Jenna and I will be giving them their tags, and we'll be zip tying these little guys onto their backpacks. So backpacks on jumpstart days are yes. Backpacks on jumpstart days, yes, bring your backpack. Because we'll be zip tying those on, and then we'll practice. When parents come back to pick up, Jenna and I or someone else will be putting in the number. You'll have the website pulled up on your screen, and you'll send out little Johnny to the carpool, and we'll load him in the car. And that way, the first day of school hopefully won't be a fiasco. Your first grader will know where to get to their classroom. They'll kind of have practiced the procedure for pickup. And I mean, even if they ride the bus, someday they'll get picked up on a car, probably. So they need to practice that. Every child gets a number, but the number is a family number. So this is a family of children. It's not a specific number for a specific child.
So there will be a training for that for the people using devices.
Yes.
Okay. And a rain plan. It's like,
Rain?
looks like it takes both hands to use that.
Oh, sure, yeah, I would expect that you guys will figure out where you're gonna stand under a line or something. Or an umbrella. I mean, it's a phone. It could be a phone. It doesn't have to be an iPad. So usually you can use your phone while you have your umbrella.
Okay, so it's an app.
It's an app, yes. It's a website. I think it's an app. I don't know for sure if it's an app. It's a website. In fact, here's more details about it. So let's do it. Open up your computer. The link is on that slideshow if you've got it pulled up. www.safeschoolid.com/login. And actually, you don't have to do /login. You can just click login once you get there. That was just an easier way to get you to log in. And then, now Jenna and I practiced a little bit last night, but we couldn't get it to log us in, but Bart was working on it. So hopefully this works. Say again? Yes, that's what it told us last night. So Bart said he was working on that. But this will be how you do it. How you log in your classroom. I'm not sure about the person who inputs the number, because we literally just sent the final list to him last night. But we have a few days because our first jump start day is, I think, the 17th. So we have a few days to get this going. But this is in the slideshow for you, so you can have that there. Athletics, events, and clubs. Pretty much, we just said we won't be able to do a lot of the things that we usually do. But here's also what I don't want to do. I don't want Oakdale to become the cancel culture. Okay, so we can't say just because it's harder to do this year, but we're going to have to be more creative about it, means that we cancel it. Okay, so if possible, think about ways to creatively do the same things we've done before. Because if we cancel everything and kids have to be in their third hour all day long in middle school, do you think any kid is going to want to come to school? No, school has to be fun. And so we have to have, that's the reason why we have these things in the first place, is to create these fun things that kids look forward to. So one thing that PTC is going to do, because we won't be able to have class parties in elementary school, the PTC is planning a monthly treat for students. They'll be outside when they're at recess. They're thinking the first one is going to be a snow cone truck. That's a fun thing for kids to look forward to come to school. So we just have to keep in mind, what can we do to help? I mean, we want you to want to come to school. We want the kids to want to come to school. We've got to find creative ways to do these things that we normally would do. Is it going to take a little bit more work and effort? Yes, because I still haven't wrapped my brain around how we would ever do family feast on the day before Thanksgiving. But we could have a feast in March or April. You know what I mean? Like, we'll try to figure out ways that we can do these things in a different manner, a safe manner. We don't expect to host large gatherings or assemblies at this time. Field trips, we don't expect that we'll be taking many live field trips. But then again, 5th grade goes outside. I mean, you can go hike a mountain. So there are some things that you might tweak about your field trips. And it depends upon the venue to which you're taking your students as well. There's going to be a flu shot clinic, and the bottom one, snacks and treats. Classroom snacks must be individually purchased and brought from home by each student, not a group treat for the class. And no group snacks or treats from parents or teachers. Okay. Any questions about those things? Mike can talk more about athletics and extracurriculars. There's a plan for if we move up levels, what we do. But the building will not be rented out during the school year. No gym rentals, no fine arts rentals, cafeteria, classroom, pod, nothing. The only exception to that is the annex by the old gym. We're letting Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts use that. Students don't even go in there. Information day, this afternoon we'll talk about that. And we are sending those out, we bumped that, so we're sending those out on the 13th and 14th instead of sending them out next Monday and Tuesday. It'll be next Thursday and Friday. First day of school. Breakfast will be grab and go banana and Nutri-Grain bar. Pre-K through 5th will have first day of school pics. I've already got the link for you to send out to parents where they will be able to go and download those pictures, and those pictures will be up that day. So parents will be able to have a picture of you and your student and your little sign you're gonna make at our painting party for pre-K through 5th. And there's a sign-up genius there for you to sign up for a time to bring your class and get your picture made. That's the first day of school. Anyone who does not have a first hour class on the first day of school needs to be in the hallways directing students to the classrooms. We already talked about that. And we'll just delay announcements till 8:30 just to give everybody a little chance to get where they're going. I will do some kind of virtual assembly at 9:25. So we're in block schedule, so that'll be halfway into your first hour class.
I think the cheerleaders are gonna perform.
Yes, we're gonna do some cheer. I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know if I'll have you video it or if I'll have them actually in the gym doing it and I'll video it live. However you want to do it, I'm game for whatever. Whatever's easiest for you guys. Flexibility will be the key to the first day of school. We're just gonna have to roll with the punches and move bits that we need to move and adjust and readjust as needed. All teachers will go out to recess duty on the first day of school so we can establish routines and line up places and how we get in, what time we come in. And also please help in the cafeteria. And for middle school, that's cafeterias because we'll have cafeteria and middle school pod. And then we have the school calendar. Our start date is August 20th. For students, there are some Chromebook arrival concerns. I don't want to alarm anyone because we are on top of it. But our Chromebooks haven't come in yet. So we are going to send out a Google form today that will ask parents who has a device they can bring to school. And for the first, until the Chromebooks come, we're going to have a bring your own device type of thing. So the ones who do will bring it and the ones who don't will have a Chromebook. So our checkout system may have to be tweaked to where we don't actually check out Chromebooks. We just use Chromebooks until the Chromebooks get here. But we will figure that out.
And Mike can talk more about that too.
Yes. And I think that's all. Oh, with this change, because we've bumped back school 5 days, my sister and I were getting our nails done, and she works at Edmond, she teaches high school. And she's like, well, okay, are you getting paid more? And I said, no. She's like, why? And I said, because we're not bumping school back. So what they did at Edmond was they bumped their start date, but they also bumped their teachers coming in. But then they extended their school year, so they're going a whole extra 5 days at the end. We aren't doing that. So that means we don't have very many snow days. And like one of our board members mentioned at the board meeting, if 2020 is anything like it's been so far, we'll have some kind of apocalyptic snowstorm. So apocalypse. Yeah. So we don't have if we have any snow days? We don't have any snow days. Yes. Right. Right. A snow day may not be a snow day anymore. So we're ending school at the same time. We cut 5 days of instruction off of our calendar. And those were our 5 snow day built in. Those are our extras. We are at the minimum right now. Okay. I know that's a lot of information. This slideshow took us 3 months and many tears to build. But
She's not joking there.
No. Everything kept changing, and there were a lot of moving parts, as you could tell. And even so, we didn't even think of everything that could go wrong. But we have faith that we have expert, intelligent teachers who can figure things out that we can't figure out. And it'll all be good. be flexible, we'll learn things, we may even come out of this loving some of the things we've done. Everybody loved graduation, and it was a new thing that we didn't want to do, we were forced to do, but it ended up being something we'll probably continue in a tradition. So we may find some things we absolutely love that we were able to play with school a little bit this year, move outside of our comfort zone, and find some things that are better. So let's look for those things. Okay.
All right,
Woo!
well, 11:58.
Right to the dot. Lunchtime. When do you have to come back? 1 o'clock. See you at 1 o'clock. See you in a little bit. Bye.